Hey kids, it's Papa. You ready to explore the Bible? All right. Turn back with me, if you will, to 1 Kings chapter 12. 1 Kings chapter 12. Now remember, we heard last Friday that a terrible thing had happened. Rehoboam had listened to the wrong people and had angered the children of Israel. And they said, "We're not going to serve you." And so they went to their tents. Well, Rehoboam didn't want to accept that. And so what he did was he sent tax collectors up into Israel to collect those taxes. Well, guess what? They didn't want to pay those taxes. And so they stoned the tax collector. They actually, they had a mob, and they went and they grabbed that tax collector and they dragged him out of the city, and they picked up stones and they started throwing them at him, and they killed him. And so Rehoboam realized, whoa, this is a full blown rebellion. So he ran back to Jerusalem. And then he found out that the children of Israel up north had gotten together, and they decided, you know what, we need a king. And so they asked Jeroboam. Sure enough, just like God had said, they asked Jeroboam to come and to be the king over the 10 tribes. Now, you would think that the 10 tribes would have 10 times as many as the one tribe of Judah, wouldn't you? But that's not the way it was. And that's because there were a lot of people from the north that were of the other tribes that had actually come and started living in the south down near Judah. And they considered themselves southerners, and they stayed down there. So that's where Jerusalem was, and the temple was, and so there were a lot of people down there. And so it was, even though there was more land up north, there were more people in the south. And so Rehoboam thought, I'm going to get an army, and I'm going to defeat them, and I'm going to bring them back to me. And so he got his army together. Now keep in mind, his father Solomon had put together all of those chariot cities and all the chariots and horses and all the soldiers, and he was ready for war. And so he got his army together, and he started to march north. But you know what? Something happened, and the Lord stepped in. Notice what it says in verse 22. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 22. But the word of the Lord came unto Shemaiah, the man of God, okay, a prophet, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnants of the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Ye shall not go up nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. And they hearkened therefore unto the word of the Lord, and returned to depart according to the word of the Lord. In other words, they said, okay, well, we really didn't want to fight against our brethren anyway. And so they went back. Now, here's the problem. Israel was in a very precarious place because there was a lot of warring factions around. And David had built them up to be a strong force, and Solomon had built them up even more. And united, they could stand against just about anybody. But divided, they were going to fall quickly and easily. And unfortunately, that's what happened. And as the years went by, both kingdoms fell. And we'll talk more about that. But we're going to see in the days to come some other unfortunate things that happened. And you know, there are sometimes when God allows our sin to decide the punishment for us. God allowed Solomon's sin and Rehoboam's sin to decide the punishment of dividing Israel. And then he said, okay, that's your decision, and that's your punishment. And there are times when God allows our own decisions to punish us. And so when those times come, we need to bow our head in humility before God and say, I am sorry. And we need to run back to him and ask for his forgiveness. And sometimes he will even take away that problem, that punishment, but many times he doesn't, because that's the law of sowing and reaping. So understand that sometimes it's going to be your sins themselves that come back to punish you. Hey, love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.